Test. All right, I guess that's okay. I am late on my own stream. I really try never to do that. But that's what came up. Yeah. Making a mistake here. Not sure if anybody's watching or nobody's watching. I don't care. Gonna be 8 Not sure if anybody's watching or nobody's watching. Gonna be 8 Gonna share the stream. Up. Don't really know at this point. Been messing with G.I. Joe stuff part of the day. Fun. I absolutely blanked out because I was working on stuff right now. Right now I'm doing Inception stream. That over. Yeah. How is everybody tonight? We've been trying to stream gaming a little bit during the week. Still going to try to do those creative streams on a Sunday. As usual, I'm not going to try to do anything longer than about an hour. It's good. It keeps me entertained, and it won't burn me out either. And we can just discuss different things. We can talk about different projects we're ongoing and just discuss things in general. I didn't go see any movies today, but I did play a Battletech game against my youngest son. I won, even though I didn't really want to. I wasn't giving him any special chances or any special privileges, but I didn't really want to win. But things turned out really poor for him when his marauder fell on the floor and couldn't get back up. Those are things that happen in Battletech, unfortunately. A fun game to have every once in a while. I'll try to have more games with my kids. I'll try to have them play each other every once in a while as well, and try to play with my other friends a little bit more often. Members of the channel, at some point, once we've got everything set up and ready to go, we should have a Mech Tech streams and Mech Tech games that we are going to do, which is just going to be a little bit of silly goose time fun, where we basically are going to play Battletech with random people and try to get things moving. So, a few people are watching. I see a few people here in not using OBS. I'm using OBS to stream, but I'm not using OBS to look at the chat. I'm just regular thing. Can do the announcements for this week. Probably going to keep playing Super Metroid during this week. I'm still looking at people trying to do wall jumps and stuff like that, and I'm completely confused. The Annihilator video is doing fantastic. The only video I think that did better than that is the Victor's video. The Victor video is the one that really cemented my decision to do Battletech content going forward, because it's the only other video that I have that has a large amount of success compared to all the comic streams and comic videos that I've done before. kind of a sad situation. It's doing pretty good. We're also growing the subscriber count pretty steadily, and I'm pretty happy about that because that's a pretty important thing if we want the channel to keep going and to keep moving in the right direction. If we look at the last 28 days summary, I've got nothing I can complain about. You guys have been doing great and have been really, really nice. So I'm really happy that we're moving in the right direction here. As far as content goes, the Toyama right now, the video on the Toyama is exclusive for channel members up until Wednesday. On Monday, we have the video on the Battlemaster, which will premiere. Pretty popular battle mech. I know people will like talking about this one as well. I already recorded the video on the Initiate, which will be member exclusive as of the drop of the Toyama video. So basically, the Toyama video becomes live for regular member. The Initiate video will become exclusive to channel members. That's how I'm going to go here with those. There's going to be always a exclusive video for channel members at least for a week. And it's generally going to be those shorter mech reviews. I mean, Toyama's 7 minutes. The Initiate's 9 minutes. It was the Rakshasa, which was the first of those, which is 9 minutes. The Legacy and the Redshift were in the same kind of format. I can find some of those mechs with not too much info on it and do a good thing about it. I say hello to Douglas Baker, who is joining the chat. Hello, young man, old man. I am not quite sure. If you're playing Battletech, you're probably an old man like me. And let's face it, I'm a youngster in some of the Battletech circles that are only 40 years old. Yes, I was listening to Jean-Jacques Goldman. French music, some of it is really, really nice. Some of it is cool. But Jean-Jacques Goldman he is a great artist. I don't think he's dead yet. But still. Outside of that, well, we've been working mainly on the G.I. Joe side of things. I did a poll this week on my Twix, and this is where oh boy. Recover 4, is that the one that they currently use in the Israeli army? Never mind. So yes, G.I. Joe has been voted with a huge margin as the project people want me to work on the most, with the second one in the list being the Kerensky's Star League, which is a very, very different setting. It should be a different set altogether of things. Because G.I. Joe, I mean, that's pre-Civil War, Clan Invasion era Battletech. House Davion Triumphant is Clan Invasion again, but with House Davion being really powerful. Kerensky Star League is going to be very different. I haven't added it yet, but I did do a write-up. I did a write-up for what I called Ilkhan Ascendant, which is an Ilkhan setting where Clan Wolf actually wins and stops fucking around. Pretty big difference. I had a few others here that I had thought of and I haven't worked on at all. House Cameron's Return. Basically, Devlin Stone is actually a member of House Cameron. So when he forms the Fortress Republic, the Republic of the Sphere, well, it's the return of the Terran hegemony. Defeated Tukayid. I mean, playing in the Clan Invasion era is so easy. So there is that. Okay, the Merkava 4 was the one that got beaten up by the Mackie. Okay, makes sense. It's a very basic tank in the end. I mean, another one that's in the Clan Invasion section, they're actually aliens, if we want to go really crazy. And Glorious Amaris Empire, which would be the opposite of Kerensky's Star League. So, I mean, I've got a few different ideas for different settings, but the ones people really want me to mess with is G.I. Joe Real Inner Sphere Hero, and it makes sense. It's silly, it's stupid, and it just works. I mean, you can do just about everything you want, and I'm not just going to play with G.I. Joe here. I am going to be playing with every single thing that I like. I'm going to cross over with Battletech in one big mashup. Maybe not Doom Patrol, because I don't think Doom Patrol would fit very well with Battletech. I guess it could, but it would be a little bit difficult. It wouldn't be the easiest thing to merge in the Battletech setting. The rest I've got kind of works a little bit better. I mean, last time we played with this, we started looking at it. We've got our Joes, we've got Cobra, which does include Cloud Cobra, Clan Mongoose, which is the clan version of G.I. Joe, who's basically now joining with G.I. Joes. So we have a few things here already set up. I didn't do a whole lot of new characters because I am busy right now. Work has been fairly busy. I've been working on a lot of videos. I think some people enjoy me working on a lot of videos. Some people might not. It will depend. But I've got a few new characters that I've added. And if we looked last time, I had already added Bob Moran and Bill Valentine, is best friend. I mean, those are from French pulp, bande dessinée, and novels, actually. Originally novels, then bande dessinée. So, and it works with G.I. Joe. I mean, those are characters that would work in the G.I. Joe settings. But they're French and a Scottish Special Forces officers, and they wouldn't be joining the Joes. They're doing their own thing. They have their own quests, their own villains. But if you're doing a campaign, both in RPG format and in Battletech military format, those would be characters that would be around to help you out. I've started adding as well the Halo Corporation and the characters from Wildcats. I think Grifter I had already written up, but I hadn't talked about. Wildcats is one of my favorite comics for no apparent reason. I mean, I just love the aesthetics and the craziness that it is. And it's a thing that, once again, merges really well with G.I. Joe, even though it's more supernatural, more superhero-y. It still works in it. And Cole Cash, the Grifter, basically could be a G.I. Joe character. The Special Forces guy who falls as a falling out with the military for various reasons, depending on his origin. The most recent origin basically has a falling out with the military because he gets framed by aliens. Weird situation, but that's how it works. And, I mean, the design for Grifter, I always loved the mask, and it's just a really fun character, and it's the kind of character that I like playing in RPGs as well. I guess it's my own personal thing here. Also, from Wildcat, once again, well, Halo Corporation is the corporation the cats work for, and their boss is Jacob Marlowe, who's he's an alien. He is a cherubim, but he's only 3'6", so he's the tiny short guy who's got all the money and all the actual power. So people easily discount him as just a CEO and nothing else more, but he's got superpowers himself, and he is a force to be reckoned with in more than one way. This one of the rare characters I've created here that doesn't have a battle mech or anything associated with him, because Marlowe, well, he's not the one to go and get into a fight. He just drives around in an armored limo. The kind of guy that if you get into a fight with, you'll probably lose anyways. And the last of the cats I've took time to create here is Lady Zana of Kara, Zelith. Nice character with a lot of unknowns in her bio, because she's basically an immortal assassin slash super soldier trainer. She's the main reason the cats are in business in a way. And I just put out like a short history of what's going on with her. ROM agents from Comstar keep trying to get info out of her and on her and keep getting assassinated. Sad for them. And if you start looking at history, well, there's a Zana O'Kara, who was part of the first colonizing effort on New Earth. Zana O'Kara helped found the Federated Sons. Kera no Zana saved Kurita's coordinator's sons during the Von Rohr's coup. She negotiated with Jamie Wolf in the name of the coordinator before saving Jamie Wolf's life. During War of 39, she protected Theodore Kurita. You would be thinking that it's a different woman every single time, but it's always the same woman because she is immortal as she is an alien. No. Shipwreck as to fall in love with a female clan elemental. There's no questions there. It's not, it could happen. It's the kind of dumb thing that will happen because he's Shipwreck. And I think those kind of things here, that's what makes this subsetting, the G.I. Joe subsetting, actually fun, because you can go with stupid things like that, and it doesn't sound out of place, and it doesn't sound weird. It's stuff that you would expect in G.I. Joe, right? Like when I was messing around with making battle mechs, sorry. Like I asked on Twitter, like what mech should Major Blood pilot, and everybody said, well, he should be piloting a Javelin because he's got the same kind of helmet. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense, but Lady J, her main weapon in G.I. Joe is a Javelin. So I originally had put Lady J in a Javelin. And if we think about a toy line, because that's how you need to think when you're thinking G.I. Joe, you can't have two characters in the same mech, because that wouldn't work. Well, that would work if you're reusing the same mold. Depends on the 80s franchise that you want to mess with, because Transformers, a lot of toys, the molds were being reused. Never mind. I'm trying to sell more toys here, damn it. Well, yeah, Lady J already as My Fair Lady, which was a custom Javelin built on Oregon settings. That's from a different things. A fast one, 812.8 jump speed, so it's closer to the current version of the Javelin that came out in a recent technical readout. 2 Clan SRM6, 2 Clan ER medium lasers, and a light active probe. For a Javelin, this would be devastating, basically. Could have possibly gone. No, the problem is that the Streak SRM6 would be too heavy, I think, here. Might work. For Major Blood, I went with a Victor, actually. Because, I mean, he's supposed to be a commander in the end. Well, for now, to be honest, all the big commanders in Cobra are in pretty big mechs. I mean, I think the smallest, well, there's Zartan in his, what does Zartan pilot again? Zartan's in a Griffin. I think that's the lightest of the commander mechs for the Cobra. After that, it's Destro and a Marauder. And you've got an Archangel. You've got a Blood Asp. Baroness is Katrin Steiner, so she's in her Warhawk. So I mean, there's a lot of the bad guys are going to be in big mechs because I mean, in the end, they're meant to be big. And yeah, the Victor Lawson, name of a Australian poet, goes with the team of Major Blood trying to do poetry and being terrible at it. It's a pretty straightforward and basic mech. Plasma rifle, snub-nose PPC, 2 ER medium lasers, a small pulse laser, and like all good Cobra mech, an improved C3. Dreadnoks, Savannah Masters, more than likely you're going to have a few, but the basic mechs for the Dreadnoks right now are a Stinger and a Phoenix Hawk. Both of them with partial wings. Basically, they're big jumper. And I can see the Dreadnoughts. Like, if you're not one of the guys that get selected to be in a battle mech, you're going to be in a Savannah Master, an Araser, a Saladin. All those other tanks that go really quick, that have barely any armor, and that can blow things up really, really quick. In those mechs here, strangely enough, I've made so that they're not too expensive either, so that people can imagine, like, this is the stuff that Cobra sells to mercenaries, basically. The Dreadnoks are a mercenary unit, so they do what they're supposed to do. And as far as the Phoenix Hawk, snub-nose PPC instead of a large laser, because, you know, they have to blow people up. 2 inner sphere medium lasers and 2 clan machine guns. I don't really care about merging technology together, especially for the Cobra stuff, the G.I. Joe stuff. They're meant to have like the super high-tech equipment, the stuff that, I mean, we're supposed to be in like 3058, just after the assassination attempt on Melissa Steiner, which is prevented by the Joes, which is the big divergent event in this history, basically. Melissa Steiner is saved by the G.I. Joes and Bob Moran, and her daughter, Catherine Steiner, goes into exile and becomes the Baroness. That's how the whole setting works, basically. The pretty simple idea, but I think it works fairly well. And it ties things in together. And Cobra Commander is actually Thomas Merrick. Gives us first a better a better origin for the villain than a used car salesman who got angry, which is what it was in IDW. I ate the IDW timeline, basically. But it basically replaces the Jihad here. And the Jihad is not really what it's supposed to do. It's going to be Thomas Merrick with the Cobra La operatives trying to take over the sphere. And Cloud Cobra is their comparative thing in the clan space, and they're led by Serpentor, a super genetically engineered super soldier with Stefan Amaris DNA in his blood, just to make him, you know, really evil. And I mean, it's like I said, this is the kind of things you can go crazy with, you can have fun with. And the G.I. Joe RPG, the pen and paper RPG for G.I. Joe, works really, really well. So for pen and paper gameplay, you use the G.I. Joe RPG for your on-the-ground kind of situations. And once you get to the battle mech fighting scene, well, you actually go with battle mechs, logically. So it's just a merger of the two things, and lets you just explore how crazy you want to be with Battletech. I have some special rules and information on how to use story points. Story points are the edge type resource that there is in the G.I. Joe RPG, and things you can do with it: ignore critical hits, prevent ammo running out of ammo. I've also put a small details here on the website for travel times. I mean, travel time in Battletech is very, very well codified. But if you're doing a campaign like G.I. Joe, travel time should only exist if there's something happening during the travel time. You should ignore travel time. People just teleport anywhere they want in the inner sphere with their ships if needed. If not needed, well, you're going to be ambushed at a jump point. Well, mysteriously, you have to get to that jump point before you get anywhere else. It's the kind of the smart way of doing it. I do have one problem with the rule I had put out in regards to Battle Mech, because I started messing around with some Elder Scrolls stuff because I'm hanging out with the wrong people. But I've got two Panthers, Panther Red Ninja and Panther Toje. Red Ninja being the basic mech that is used by the Red Ninjas, part of Cobra. And Toje is a battle mech used by the Resistance. The Resistance from the Khajiit people on Elsewhere. That's another fairly big thing that I worked on. I needed to try to fit it in both G.I. Joe and Battletech. It's not too hard to add alien species in G.I. Joe, at least. For Battletech, it is, but for G.I. Joe, it isn't. So in this particular situation, it was easy for me to add the Elsewhere Trade Union. Basically, pretty simple situation here. Basically, it's a species that just got access to space travel. It just learned how to do it very, very recently. It's the Khajiit, which is a species of man-like cat or cat-like men, depending on where you are and when they're born. And they farm a resource called the moon sugar, which is a spice / sugar, basically. The thing is, it is a very powerful drug, and once processed, can do all sorts of funny things. So our friends at Cobra, they learn of the existence of the Khajiit and Elsewhere. They start trading with them. They know that enslaving an entire population is almost impossible. So what they do instead is they start trading with the very powerful clans and the most corrupt ones, basically building their own power base on the planet. And they start turning the moon sugar into different drugs, including a combat drug for the Cobra soldiers, a mind control drug to be used on different other people, and good old skooma, which is basically super opium. There's also a geriatric effect to moon sugar. So basically, if you take it, it's like spice in Dune. If you take it, your lifespan expands and your body doesn't degenerate as quickly. So it's going to become a very important resource down the line. The idea here really is to merge two things I've been messing with recently, Dune and Elder Scroll, the Khajiit. It kind of works, and I think it's going to be an interesting thing to do, both in the Battletech universe and in G.I. Joe. You just merge all of that together. Since it's G.I. Joe, it works. In regular Battletech, it wouldn't. If we were playing with regular Battletech rules, this would be completely out of the line. We wouldn't be able to mess with that. We just have fun. So we can happily do what we're doing now. And the Khajiit, the resistance has not yet been announced to the inner sphere at large. But the, let's say, military faction within the Khajiit people, the Rangira, they're basically pirates, smugglers, traders, military. They're basically not really nice people originally, but they're the ones who were acting as freedom fighters trying to fight Cobra. So they allied with G.I. Joe originally to fight Cobra on their planet. What happened is once the planet was, split in half between Cobra and the Joes, the Kryn, the Rangira, decided that, hey, they were going to take care of business and take matter into their own hands. So what they did was sell a large amount of moon sugar without approval from anybody to Comstar, And Comstar was very happy to acquire a resource that they just learned about and is extremely powerful. They also started messing around with Halo Corporation, who we talked about earlier, that they're Wildcats people. Worked together and bought a jump ship, couple drop ships, stole the battle mechs that they had, a couple of tanks that they had, and decided to go into business for themselves. And, well, that's what the cats are doing. They just landed. It's like, if we go by game history right now, that's going to be the end point of the story right now. Well, not the end point, but this is where the story is at. The last episode or the last series was the fight for Elsewhere. And now the Renjira just landed on Outreach. And the Wolf Dragoon have no idea what they're supposed to do with a bunch of cat people walking on their planet, trying to buy everything, and they're Khajiit, trying to steal everything. So you have a brand new faction in the Battletech universe that nobody has any idea what they're going to do. So it gives you, as a game master or as a campaign master, some brand new options as to what do you want to do with this faction here. It's weak. It's not going to be a strong faction at first here. They have a command lance with fancier battle mechs, a battle mech company, couple tanks, couple blocks of infantry, and most of their mechs are going to be those Panthers and those Jaguars. Jaguar, yes, I know it's a 31-32 mech originally. But I mean, with a name like the Jaguar, I have to give that to the Khajiit, right? So it's a quad mech that was originally going to be built for the clans that Cobra repurposed for their Khajiit forces and their Khajiit allies. It's easier to balance the Neuro helmet for a quad than for a regular bipedal battle mech. So it's easier to get a Khajiit in a quad mech than in a regular biped. Makes it a little bit easier. As far as the mech goes, it's a fast 812 light mech, 35 tons. Couple double heat sinks. Most of the equipment is going to be on the cheap inner sphere side, except for the internals, which is clan material. Same with the weapons. It's all inner sphere material. Light active probe. No, that's clan, actually. Light active probe would be clan. But that's to find pirates, trade. You know, when you're fighting in against guerrilla, kind of important to have that kind of thing. 2 inner sphere medium, 4 medium lasers, and an MML 7 with an Artemis 4. Is it a great mech? I'd have to actually try it on a table to see. It looks pretty nasty at medium range. Once you get into that 1 to 9 range, where medium lasers and SRMs are going to be useful, with 7 SRMs and 4 medium lasers, you're going to be able to deal quite a bit of damage. It's going to be quite fast since it's a quad as well. It's fairly mobile. I think it's a decent mech. Maybe I shouldn't have optimized it, but I kind of went with the same basic structure as the regular Jaguar, which is 4 ER medium lasers and ATM 6, if I remember right. So it's a pretty nasty 35-ton mech. The Toge is a Panther, a little bit quicker, 5.85, with a PPC, 2 medium lasers, and a machine gun. Endosteel, double heat sinks, ferrofibrous, no endosteel. So it's barely, it's not super cheap, but still, it's still under 3 millions. I mean, under 3 million for a battle mech with double heat sinks that can jump is a kind of a deal, especially with a PPC like that. You're going to be able to do something with this mech, I am sure. And it's got anti-infantry with the machine gun. PPC is always good. Medium lasers are always good. It's got decent amount of armor, not maxed out, but decent amount of armor. And it's going to be built on the going to be built on elsewhere. Just like the Jaguar, both those mechs are going to be built on that planet for their own people, and that might lead to further fights for control of elsewhere if people want to control new battle mech factories, which is a classic in the Battletech universe. So trying to develop and build things as much as possible so people can play in that G.I. Joe universe and do what they want to do as much as they want to do it, basically. Probably need to build more common machines like regular villains that you would fight. We've got the IS Mark 1, the IS Mark 2, the Mobat, and the MB and the Mauler. Those are the basic tanks for Cobra and G.I. Joe. Got the APC, the Amphibious Personal Carrier, which is a very fancy APC, I guess. I mean, I made it as a light AC-5 and 6 ton of infantry space. You can replace it with a MASH. You can put an LRM-10 in. You can put an SRM-6 in and machine guns. You know the drill. Ammo case protected for which mech would be the question. Douglas. Because I know there's a delay here. Know that I didn't put case on the Sensei, the Jaguar. And the Toje, I don't think it, no, I think it has case. I think this one has case. Yes, this one does have case for its MG ammo. Because the Joes will want to keep people alive. Cobra, they don't care as much, I guess. There are things here when I've put myself down with some rules, trying to always put C3I computers in Cobra Mechs. It gives them a huge advantage over the Joes, but a lot of the Joes also have ECMs, watchdogs, different things. Double heat sinks, jump jet, a PPC, medium lasers, a machine gun, and cases. I mean, that's a really, really good Panther. Like much better than what anything Aus Querido has ever done with the Panther, unfortunately. The Panther is a mech that needs more love, and they never really go that way, unfortunately. Another fun thing that I've done, I've generally been messing with that here, militarizing industrial mechs. Here I've got a Power Man Old Willie, which is the Power Man built to military standard. It's a lifter mech that was remade to be able to fight. So it's not very good, but it does the trick, basically. You can go look at a few of those while I was messing with that. That might be something that comes out in a fan magazine as well. Because we're messing with things on our end. I've made a bit of an article on what's the difference between a militarized industrial mech and a mod. You see a lot of mod when you look at Sarna for industrial mechs. A mod is basically, well, we'll bolt it on machine guns on a truck, and they're what we call nowadays technicals. Basically, it's you strap guns onto farm equipment, and you hope for the best. An actual militarized industrial mech is you have the frame of an industrial mech. You know how it's supposed to be built. You've got the musculature for it because it uses myomer, so you kind of know how it's supposed to stick together. Rather than keeping the cheap pig iron internal structure, well, you replace it with an actual battle mech skeleton, and then you buy off the market parts from all sorts of other mechs to finish it up. You buy a cockpit from a Griffin to stick it into the head. You start buying off engines for Locusts, and you start putting them in your mechs instead. basically what you do is you build a brand new mech out of farm equipment, which would be closer to what they did in Warhammer 40K when they built things like the Lehman Russ tank and a few of the other tanks there were basically farm equipment with guns bolted on them, but fully militarized. This is what we're doing here. This is the kind of thing actual militaries won't really do because they've got their own military suppliers, they've got their own thing. But corporate security, mercenary outfits, obviously, and private militias or local militias are going to jump on those things because they're going to be cheap, they're going to be plentiful, and they're going to be easy to fix because it's all sorts of parts that you can buy from everywhere else. You're not going to have anything too fancy into most of them. As an example, I've got here the HCL-1M Horned Beetle, which is basically, I'll have to go to Zana because I didn't put the picture on there. The Uni Universal Carrier battle mech. It's a quad. It's meant to carry a big load on its back. It's basically a pickup truck in battle mech form. How do you make it military? Well, in this case, I actually went with reinforced structure, which is the same weight as the structure of a regular industrial mech. So if you're actually trying to sneak those across borders, not built, is going to be great because the guy at the border is going to say like, okay, the weight of the things you're carrying, it matches what it's supposed to weigh. You're good to go. That's a way to go through borders. Put not a cheap, but a 240 engine in it to go 4.6 on a 60-ton mech. Not terrible. Single heat sinks because you can't afford anything else. Basic gyro, basic cockpit. Ferrofibrous armor, that's the fancy bit, but that's because the original mech dates from like 3062 or something like that. So you're going to have ferrofibrous armor. And for equipment, well, it's basically a hunchback. Got an AC-20, medium laser pointing backwards, a medium laser pointing forward, and a small laser. So you have a quad hunchback with more armor. 12 tons of ferrofibrous, and you have to think that reinforced structure gives you double the points here. So that's 214 internal structure points on that mech. So it's going to be an awfully tough quad that you can sneak through borders by pretending it's farm equipment, and then once you receive it, you actually assemble it on site. Nasty little thing to build, basically. What's the other ones I've got here? The SWAT. Oh, yes. This is a Peacebringer. It's a basic police mech that's pretty slow. It has a fluid launcher and some missiles that's meant to shoot some smokes and be used as police duty. During the clan invasion, that darn thing actually held its own against actual battle mechs when the clans showed up. It didn't do a good job, but, the police officers that were in it actually, fought the clans. So what do you do in that case? Well, actually militarize the darn thing. Put a GM180 in it. GM180, very, very common engine. Still going to be expensive. Not cheap to get a fusion engine. That's why the mech's at $2 million. A bit more expensive than your urban mech, but you go 6.9. A lot faster than the urban mech. For weapons, 2 medium lasers, an LRM-5, an SRM-2, and a machine gun. So it's better armed than a urban mech. Yes, you don't have the AC-10 that the urban mech has, but the LRM-5 gives you a little bit more range. Once things get in range, have that SRM-2 of those medium lasers, not terrible. 2 medium lasers give you fairly good punch. SRM-2, half decent, not terrible. You can stick Infernos in, that'll make it fun. And you have a machine gun. Machine guns are fantastic. because they are great at killing infantry, which is what you're going to have a lot of if you're fighting in cities. So, once again, another mech that's better than the urban mech at doing what it's supposed to do. Fully modern variant with endo steel and ferrofibrous, adding case, double heat sinks, ER medium lasers, and streak SRM2. You want to put a lot of money down, go with that. If your clan goes bare, well, we have one for you as well, with an AP Gauss rifle, a Streak SRM4, and an LRM10, with 2 ER medium lasers and an active probe. This here, now that's actually a very nasty piece of work. I'd want to actually play that one. I'd want to need to sit down, put it out, and try it against other Clan 30-ton mechs to see how it goes. Because Clan 30-tonners, well, there's the Huller, but I mean, with that equipment, it's probably going to kill a Kit Fox, because Kit Foxes are terrible. Is it going to be better than a Hung Q? Probably depends on the variant. I mean, it always, since they're Omni mechs, it depends on the variant, but I want to put it out and probably play it. Weird situation where I really design a mech and I want to play it just to see. And if you want a SWAT mech, would it actually do that good? The Guard is another weird mech from the Kaplan Confederation. It's basically another police mech. Little thing with a pair of machine guns and a ICE engine. They already have a militarized version, the GS-107X, which uses engines from urban mechs. Sure. But it's a 15-ton ultralight mech to begin with. So not a terrible thing with 2 machine guns. I mean, it's meant for killing insurgents, which happens quite a bit in House Liao space. The one I did use a 100 engine. The mech goes to 20 tons rather than 15. Basically a full battle mech. So 5.810 with a supercharger. That's why the price is so high. Superchargers cost a stupid amount of money in Battletech for some reason. Not quite sure why. But 5.810 with a supercharger. Pair of SRM2, a flamer, and 2 machine guns. What's it built to do? Well, it's built to kill infantry. That's an infantry mowing machine. It is not meant to go and engage other battle mechs. It has limited armor. Well, 5 tons on a 20-ton mech, I think that's actually maximum. But you're not super fast. You're not going to be catching up with locusts and stingers unless you start pumping out that supercharger, which risks damaging your engine. But like I said, this is a super cheap machine. I mean, if we start reading the rules and maybe change the price on the supercharger, it would probably be under the price of a urban mech, or a mech that would do pretty good, let's say, in a city setting. Worst case, we take out the supercharger and we put a full ton of ammo on the machine guns. There we go. If there's infantry around, there's no more infantry around. That's basically how it works. And pretty simple little machine in the end. And as usual, it's probably better than a urban mech at doing what a urban mech do. The last design I did, Buster, is a loader mech. I did a basic Buster. What does it have? 2 hatchets, 2 large lasers, and a small laser on a 353 50-ton mech. The small thing with a pair of hatchets and a pair of large lasers that's going to sneak up on you and blow you the fuck up. 2 hatchets is only useful if your pilot as melee master. If you don't have melee master, it's absolutely useless. But with melee master, you can do 2 physical attacks in the same turn. So 2 hatchets on a 50 tons, you'd be able to do 20 points of damage with the 2 hatchets. Pretty decent. The large lasers are in the shoulder, the small lasers in the head. Therefore, you can shoot the large lasers, it with the hatchets. Well, and this one's the fancy version. Yeah, this one's the fancier version. Double heat sinks, goes 4-6. This one only has 1 hatchet though, but it has a Guardian ACM and 2 machine guns. So again, for city fights, pretty fantastic mech as well. Probably could have stuck triple strength Myomer on, but I would probably have made the price jump from 4 million to something like 6 or even 7 million. Triple strength Myomer is stupidly expensive as well, but this one is a thing that I actually understand. Triple strength Myomer is supposed to be incredibly rare, fancy. I mean, here, I think it's actually better than the Hatchet Man. Got the same speed, about the same armor than a modern model. 2 large lasers give you maybe a little bit less punch than that 1 AC-10. Your hatchet deals a little bit more damage because you're 5 tons heavier. Guardian ECM, well, I put that in because it's doesn't eat. It's a ton and a half of stuff that you can put in without any eat generation. I mean, you could probably swap that out for an active probe. Something along those lines. So militarized industrial mechs, probably a thing that I'm going to keep playing with. There's not that many industrial mechs in Battletech to begin with. Once you start looking at it, there's a lot of them that you can't really use as something that you could militarize, basically. Spindrift, it's an underwater production mech. Maybe not the easiest thing to do. This one here, probably artillery spotter and reconnaissance. Okay, that's actually a military mech. Never mind. There's the Quasit, which has always been a fake, a fake battle mech. Basically, the Quasit is a fun if you read the backstory on it. It's something that a Concordat Telecom and Transstellar started selling to people, pretending it was a battle mech, while it was actually just an industrial mech with the fancy bits bolted on. People realized it was the wrong thing fairly quickly and kind of called them out on it, but they made a profit and ran away. I already have a version of the Cattle Master that I need to post, the Bullfighter. But I mean, there's things that we don't really have any details on. The Cherry Picker, Gromech, Crosscut. I mean, that would be an easy enough one to do. You leave the chainsaw, take out the lift hoist, put an actual engine in. I mean, it wouldn't be super difficult to militarize this, and with a chainsaw, there's many mods version of it. Aina, probably another one that would be pretty easy to militarize. It's a salvage mech, so could be used. So a lot of industrial mech fun that I could have. Like I said, this might be stuff that gets into a fan magazine at some point in the near future. Another thing that might come into a near future in a fan magazine is here. I've got a short fiction on the Battle of Nox. I'd want more people to read it and give me an idea of what they think, because it's a short story, basically. Put a nice picture of a commando here, because that's the first actual battle mech battle in the history of Battletech. If you look at the history in 2475 between the Lyran Commonwealth and the Draconis Combine, I've actually have a nice little story here written up for it. There's no actual clear-cut details on that battle. I've dug up what I could I probably went a little bit Ed Canon on there and added things that, well, there's nothing in there that shouldn't be there because I timed myself. I looked at all the details of what should be and what shouldn't be there, but we don't have a Draconis Combine MBT for the Age of War, as an example. Got a Lyran one, we've got a Fedsun one, and we've got the Merkava. And that's about it. So I'm not quite sure here, since that information is not available. You have to play wild sometimes. I try not to be wild and try to add any Ed Canon or anything weird. When I do videos, I try to report what I'm able to find, either in technical readouts, various handbooks, etc. So I'm just trying to go with what's available. But in the end, it's stuff that I have, and I have to go with what's available. And if there's nothing available, that's when I'm going to be improvising a little bit. Usually, if I do anything like that, it's always going to be like with my video on the Pillager. If you've not seen it, or if you've seen it, I extrapolate in it. Why would the Pillager production line not be in production during the Succession War? There's no reason for it. Therefore, I'm going to go on a wild guess and say, well, they probably were producing Pillagers. It just weren't telling anyone, so the factories were not going to get attacked and anything like that. So, and that's the thing that I've actually incorporated here in the G.I. Joe setting, saying that Grifter stole a dropship full of battle mechs that were actually brand new PLG-1N Pillagers. Pillager, not a super well-known mech. I did a video on it because I was reading around for Unification War stuff, especially for that Battle of Nox video. The Pillager 1N, very basic mech, pair of autocannon, pair of AC-20s, an SRM-4, and 3 medium lasers. It's roughly put 100 ton of Victor. That's all it really is. And it works great. I mean, if the Victor works, this one is going to work as well. It doesn't jump as far. It doesn't. I mean, it's a 100-ton mech. The actual production version, the one people that started production at the end of the reunification war at 2594, pair of Gauss, 4 medium lasers, and a large laser. This one here, that's a really nasty customer, and I kind of like it. Don't like that it has a VLAR 300 XL engine. I'm always wary of XL engines on Inner Sphere. I've learned it the hard way. I've lost too many mechs to engine destruction in Battletech. But yeah, that was a fun video to do, actually, the one on the Pillager. I'm starting to think I want to do one on the Xantos at some point as well. I talked about the Xantos quickly in the Scorpions video. I might want to do a video on the Xantos itself. Another mech in that weird situation here where it could have been produced for the entire Succession War, but there's no reason why it was not produced. All we know is that the design became extinct by the time of the Second Succession War. They don't say any reason for it. And even the 3.0 model, which is your standard model, has no fancy part. Regular AC-20, a PPC, SRM-6, 3 medium lasers, small laser. Uses the most common engine in the history of Battletech, the VLAR 300. There's nothing on this mech that is impossible to build or impossible to replicate even during the Second Succession War. So I'm not sure why Aulis would have stopped building it. Or, well, Northstorm is the second company that. There's modern versions of it, including a Dark Age version with a 400 XL because reason. It was a mech in Clicky Tech, unfortunately. The experimental one, that one here looks really cool. I know it's the experimental version, so it's like the cheap 2.0 version, but it looks cool. I mean, especially with the teeth on it. That would also fit very well in G.I. Joe. It's fun. Been working on a few things, like I keep saying. I'll keep working this week. Might work on more factions and sub-factions. Right now, the only sub-faction that I have is Tiger Force, which is in one of the RPG books. So I just extrapolated, once again, to Battletech out of it. Mechs into Tiger Force have distracting for free. And when in light or heavy woods, they cause an extra +1 to it when you're shot at, because you're painted and stuff to be more able to camouflage. Nothing really special compared to what I'm going to have to do with Cobra Patrol on the other side for Cobra, which is a much bigger change. Got Roadblock and I've got Shipwreck that I want to do up as characters soon. Might finish those up tonight, actually. Not quite sure. Depends on how tired I get. I did get coffee a bit late, but that doesn't matter. Roadblock, I already know I want to give him a Zeus with a rotary AC5. Shipwreck, I'm not quite sure what mech I'm going to put him in. But as we said, he probably should be falling in love with a female clan elemental. And bad things would come out of that. Because, well, that's the beauty of G.I. Joe. You can actually do kinds of things. They're meant to be silly. And even though the comic... Actually, I've been reading the G.I. Joe Marvel stuff, the original ones, is not that silly. It's actually pretty serious, and I think it's a better representation of what they wanted to do with G.I. Joe than the cartoons were. So I'm going to leave it at that for today. I'm probably going to do another stream like this next week around 7:30. I'm going to do that every week, probably for the upcoming future creative stream where I just talk about what I created and what I messed with during the week. This week I should have a video on the Battlemaster coming out on Monday. The video on the Toyama is coming out on Wednesday for non-members. Members of the channel get access to the Toyama video now, and will get access to the Initiate video as of next Wednesday. Next up as well on Friday, I'm going to be doing a light mech because I put a poll up on Twitter. I want to do those polls on the channel here for YouTube, but I mean, right now I've got 1 real member and 10 gifted subs that I get for free. So it's not really representative of what's going to happen. So if we get more members, we're going to start being able to do polls as to what we want to see on the channel. And I did one on Twitter, like I said, this weekend. People voted for a light mech for me to talk about. So we're going to talk about a light mech. I'm not quite sure which one yet. Crimson Twins, Tomax and Zamat. Yeah, I do have them up here if you want to look at them. I've had fun with those as well. The link to the I did put the link. The alternate history wiki link is in the description down below. If you want to go on the wiki and look at it and have fun with it. And we're going to keep playing with it, obviously. Do have them here and have them in a Centurion and a Trebuchet. Because those are brother mechs. Basically, they're supposed to work together. I had fun with that. Well, I'm thinking of doing a video on the Flea for Friday. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm going to look at the light mech list and try to figure out which one I want to talk about. It might be that or the Incubus, depending. I'll look at which one I have more fun looking at. So I thank everybody for listening to me for so long. I hope you guys have a very nice rest of your day. And I will see you guys later. Bye-bye.